entire country is demanding justice for Nikki Bhati. She was all but 28 years old. She had a promising future ahead of her. She married into the Bhati family and was clinging on to hope for 9 years of her marriage. But all she received was 9 years of dowry torture at the hands of the Bhati family. Earlier this week, Nikki Bhati was not just tortured, she was beaten, she was dragged, she was set on fire, and she was burnt alive. All of this at the hands of her own husband and the Bhati family. Hours later, Nikki Bhati succumbed to her burn injuries at a hospital in Delhi. Imagine, she was literally set on fire in front of the entire family, so much so that even her 6-year-old son cannot forget the scarring image. Watch how her 6-year-old son recalls the horror, where he reveals that they poured something on Mama and set her ablaze.
मम्मा के ऊपर पहले कुछ डाला, फिर मम्मा को चाटा मारा, फिर लाइटर से आग लगा दी थी। मम्मा के ऊपर पहले कुछ डाला, फिर मम्मा को चाटा मारा, फिर लाइटर से आग लगा दी थी।
Viewers, there's the lust for money and then there's downright greed. Nikki Bhati went through the torture of dowry throughout her marriage. Her family had already given the Bhatis a Scorpio SUV, 30 tola gold and other gifts. When Nikki and her husband, Vipin, had a child, her family gave the Bhatis a bike and 11 tolas of gold. But it appears their greed for more just did not end. The family tortured her, demanding 36 lakh rupees more as dowry before they ended up setting her on fire. So far, the Uttar Pradesh police have managed to arrest the husband, Vipin Bhati, as well as Nikki's mother-in-law, Dayavati. Her father-in-law, Satyaveer, and brother-in-law, Rohit, are still on the run. Earlier today, her husband also attempted to escape while in the clutches of the UP police, and he was shot in the leg during an encounter. However, Vipin Bhati appeared absolutely remorseless when questioned on the brutal treatment meted out to his wife. He says he did not even kill her and it was Nikki who killed herself. He in fact dismissed it as a normal fight between couples. Unbelievable to say the least.
कुछ कहना चाहते हो आप? गलती पछतावा है? गलती का पछतावा है आपको?
मुझे नहीं है, नहीं मैंने मारी है।
हाँ।
ना मैंने कुछ किया है, अपने आप मरी है।
हाँ। अच्छा। और आप पहले भी मारपीट करते थे उससे?
मियाँ बीवी में हर जगह लड़ाई होती रहती है, ये कोई आम बात नहीं है।
अच्छा अच्छा। और वो अपने आप लगाई?
बस मुझे और कुछ नहीं पता ना।
पछतावा है?
नहीं, हाँ बहुत पछतावा है।
बच्चा भी चली गई। बुलाना इसको। बच्चा भी 5 साल का।
हाँ
ठीक है।
Ladies and gentlemen, the question on everyone's minds today is how many more Nikki Bhatis will India see before we mend our ways? And is it time for stricter laws to crack down on those demanding dowry? At the moment, the maximum punishment for giving or taking dowry is a minimum 5-year jail term and a fine not less than 15,000 rupees. The punishment for a dowry-related death is not less than 7 years and could even be extended to a life sentence. Now today, it's not just Nikki's family that's mourning her loss. The entire country stands united as we demand justice for Nikki Bhati and for all of those women who have lost their lives due to absolutely mindless dowry torture.
सास उनके बेटिन के बाल पकड़ती थी और पिटवाती थी। बिटिया को मैंने 1-1.5 लाख रुपए लगा के पार्लर का काम करवाया। बोली पापा हमारे बच्चे पढ़ते रहेंगे, हमारा ये सिलाई का काम और ये पार्लर का काम चलता रहेगा, ये तो दरिंदे कमाएंगे नहीं। कमा के जनने की जगह हमारे बच्ची को और जला दिया। ऐसे दरिंदों उनको तो फांसी लगनी चाहिए।
मैं अपनी बहन को जस्टिस दिलवाना चाहती हूँ। मेरी बहन ने खून दिया है तो मैं भी खून चाहती हूँ। मेरी बहन को इंसाफ चाहिए। मेरी बहन को मैं जीते जी इंसाफ नहीं दिलवा पाई, मुझे इंसाफ चाहिए। हम तो जिंदे मार दिए बुढ़िया ने और बेटान पे मरवा दी मेरी बहन।
बेटा भी बताता है कि मतलब बोतल में रखा था, मम्मा के ऊपर डाला और पहले फिर चांटा मारा और फिर लाइटर से जला दिया मम्मा को। फिर उसके बाद जो हमारे भाई साहब है वो वहां से भाग गए। जब हमारी दीदी नीचे आई बचाव बचाव करके, जब बड़ी वाली दीदी ने अपने हाथ से ड्रिप हटाई और जब देखने गई तो उन्होंने बस नहीं देखा गया।
All right, let me welcome my guest this evening, Dr. Vikram Singh, former Uttar Pradesh DGP, joining us, Rekha Agarwal, family lawyer, joining us, as well as Dr. Ranjana Kumari, activist, Director, Center for Social Research, also joining us. Good evening and namaskar to all of you. Dr. Ranjana Kumari, can I begin with you and understand from you what you make of this? You know, as I am discussing this news since morning today, it's just heartbreaking. It gives me goosebumps, and it's 2025. We're still talking about this.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate that, it's going on, and so many girls, average 8,000 girls get killed for the want of dowry, and this is government data. We are not telling anything other than that. And I, in my own personal experience and opinion, when 10 gets killed, only 1 gets reported. Or if 10 are tortured, only 1 had the courage to come out and to be able to report. From this case, Nikki's case itself, you can see that for 9 years she was suffering, she was tolerating all tortures, and her sister also in the same house. Both sisters were going through all this. Now, I feel that, when I wrote my first book called Brides Are Not for Burning, and I have gone through every detail of 29 cases that I studied in that, it's really strange the way parents also give, and parents do not want to keep the daughters at their home. They don't want to call them back. They want them to adjust. And on the other side, these brutal killers who, in the name of marriage, try to get someone who they can milk cow. They can get as much money as they can every time there is something happening in their family. They keep demanding something or the other. So I think this brutality, and also no worth the name of any senior politician of this country, any senior. There was Raja Ram Mohan Roy. There were some great reformers who really stood against all this. Today, you tell me one name who is really talking about. On the other side, the narrative is the girls are becoming smart. They are using dowry as an excuse. This narrative has really made girls to suffer more and more, because now people are blaming girls. Instead of saying that, look, what is happening to them, even one girl dying for dowry should be reason for shame and concern, and should be punished as much as possible,
Yes.
But no.
Yes, absolutely. It is concerning that we've seen cases where men have been murdered as well. That is also another extreme. But to, generalize all women in that same manner is also a problem. And the fact that women have been going through this for decades now. Rekha Agarwal, I want to understand from you, therefore, that, in 2025, we're still talking about it. The shock also comes in the fact that we are in this day and age where dowry deaths are still happening. As far as, the numbers are concerned, are they still coming in? Are they still being reported? Is it that most of us are living in ignorance of the fact that dowry-related deaths still happen in this country?
I think, Shreya, what I would say to this is, just adding on to what Ranjana ji said, I think we're more in a state of denial. We don't want to accept the ugly truth that, yes, in certain families, yes, we cannot paint either the women as wrong or the men as wrong. We cannot generalize. But yes, I think that more and more girls are, they continue to suffer, trauma, of whether it is mental or physical, at the hands of their in-laws. And the more that the girls are getting educated, that is also now becoming like a handicap for them, where they not only have to look after their jobs but also their houses. And unki soch nahi badli hai. They still continue to think in the same manner that a wife has got a particular duty, towards her husband and in-laws. And because of that, she's nothing but a milk cow. And as has happened in this present case, as you're talking about Nikki, her parents have given her so much money, a Scorpio car and so many tolas of gold, even at the time of her marriage and after the birth of her son. And still she continued to be tortured. I think this is nothing but a case of murder most foul, not just a dowry death, but this is, a most diabolical murder. And I think that, we'll have to accept the ugly truth that, yes, in our country, girls continue to be second-grade citizens. It's not many women like you and Ranjana ji and me, who get the opportunity to be, living better lives and probably living in metro cities. But the hard truth is that, yes, we are still not accepting the fact that girls are also, they're also human beings.
Yeah.
And just because they've got married, they don't have to compromise, in certain manners and look as if it's a bounden duty, as if God has given them birth on earth only to be looking after their husbands and in-laws.
Yeah.
So I think this is the whole patriarchal, thought process which hasn't changed. The wife has got a duty to kind of tolerate. And look at the way Iman, is smirking, lying on the hospital bed and smirking. He doesn't see, even while he's building up a narrative of Nikki having killed herself, there's no remorse even in that.
There's no
even
remorse,
if his wife,
yes. And he's putting it across as a very small fight, a trivial fight that happens between couples. That is something, of course, which is absolutely shocking and shameless on his part. But Dr. Vikram Singh, come in on this. Yeah. Dr. Vikram Singh, while we are talking about this, one of the key points that has come out of this entire case has also been the fact that this was not the first time that Nikki was going through this kind of a horror. She has gone through this in the past 1.5 years, as per her father. She had come back home and her parents sent her back after the panchayat got involved. So here's a community, a society which is still listening to the panchayat and doing and implementing what they are saying, eventually, of course, resulting in this kind of a horrific, end that their daughter has met with. As far as the police are concerned, then in such cases, how does one go through this case? How does one balance? Because there's a panchayat involved, there's a societies and communities sentiment that is, very passionate sentiment that is involved in this case. Their honor is at stake. All of this considered, how does then the police make their way through this kind of an investigation?
Question, Shreya. Good evening, esteemed panelists. Police do not have to do a tightrope walking. The business of Khap Panchayats and their intervention have been deemed to be illegal. And as our learned Rekha Agarwal ma'am has mentioned, that perhaps the deceased had to be treated like a human being. No, she was not. One would not even slaughter an animal in this manner. The manner in which she was done to death, there are 3 points that come out very obvious. The patriarchy, the girl's parents, though they have the financial depth and also the capacity to sustain the child, but the societal pressure, as also the Khap Panchayat's pressure, they probably wanted the girl to go back to the in-laws' place, which they did, and that was no coming back. I wish the society and the in-laws and the parents had realized that the life of every bride matters, the life of every girl matters, but that wasn't to be. We put every life of the girl child there in a secondary or a subsidiary position, in fact, a disposable commodity. The height of patriarchy that was visible in the entire episode. Now the police have a job at hand to investigate, irrespective of what the societal pressure is, on the basis of evidence, on the basis of the child's testimony, and on the basis of the dowry demand, the financial trail. And I think it is a foolproof case, and I'm sure there would be eminent lawyers like Rekha ji who would be very much there to help and support the deceased family so as to get a speedy conviction of the desperados and the demons there.
I just shudder to think how the child would have been impacted by what he has witnessed at his residence and what kind of a childhood and teenage years and adulthood he would eventually end up having. But Dr. Ranjana Kumari, since we're talking about patriarchy, in this case and in several other cases, patriarchy is not just limited to the men. There is a mother-in-law who's holding Nikki there. We can see that in the video while the husband is hitting her. There's the mother of Nikki, the father of Nikki, who had sent her back despite her saying that I'm going through this kind of a, torture at the hands of the Bhatti family. And therefore, where do you think we have lagged? There is awareness. This girl was an educated girl. The Bhatti family was an educated family. Where have we lagged in this entire process?
Well, Shreya, don't forget that patriarchy is internalized by women also.
Yes.
So you can't say that because they are women, they should be, fighting patriarchy. No, because after all, this mother-in-law is taking the power from her son. I mean, she is feeling important in the family when she gets the boy, and that's why people kill the girls. So I think this one thing. And secondly, also, I feel that, when they went home, who are these Khap Panchayats? We fought against them and they have been banned. There is nothing that they can do about all this. So parents also take pretext of all this and knowing where the girl is getting dashed up, she is getting, beaten up every day, send her back. Why? Spend the money on the girl to get educated, get her some business to do. He was saying, I wanted to open a beauty parlor or whatever for her. Why not? Let her stay. Where she's born and brought up is her home. Why don't parents understand that these brutal, greedy rascals will kill their daughter? Why don't they understand that? And Vikram Singh ji and I have been on many such programs together, and we have been saying this, that, police has absolutely, it's open and shut case. The little boy has seen it, he's giving statement, he's saying that they poured something on my mom and burnt her. And also this guy is, in fact, he should be given the maximum, the most, punishment which teaches not him, but every man who thinks of killing their wife for want of some money. A lesson. They should be taught, but then, as again I'm saying, the courts are again turning against women. They are all the time, and I have contested 52 cases of dowry myself for Mahila Dakshina Samiti. And I can tell you that, courts are also talking about it. That look, so-and-so she's pretending. She's not doing enough work at home. She's not looking after children and parent-in-laws. I mean, all kinds of excuses. Are women slaves? Is this country still want to continue women as slaves of their men when they are married off, of their in-laws? What kind of culture we have developed? This is a culture which is slowly turning against women.
Rekha Agarwal on this. Rekha Agarwal, I want to understand from you, from the legal point of view, how this will be there, and of course, what Dr. Ranjana is saying, that in a lot of court hearings now, there is a doubt on the women, and the cases that have come forth in the recent weeks, they are going against women, and therefore we need to take this also into consideration, the fact that simultaneously crimes against women have been happening in the name of dowry.
Yes, I do agree to a certain extent with what Dr. Ranjana said, that yes, now with, there are all sorts of judgments, with utmost respect to the Honorable Supreme Court. The kind of judgments that are coming, on one hand, on one day there'll be a judgment which is saying totally, in favor of women, that yes, women cannot be expected to live as slaves of their husbands. And even if the husband dies, the woman has got a right in the, co-parcenary property left behind by her husband, and her in-laws are liable to maintain her. On the other hand, we'll have some judgment which says, no, the woman is equally to be blamed, and she's been cruel towards the husband, and, she's not done her duties that she's expected to do, look after the house, look after the husband, etc. And just because women are earning, they are, not expected to get the kind of maintenance that one would actually be entitled to. So, there's a big shift in paradigm shift, in the way the courts are looking. There is but at the same time, I'm proud of being an Indian, and the fact that I believe in the Constitution of India, being a lawyer in the courts,
So Rekha Agarwal, help me understand this.
Does guarantee us,
as far as
does guarantee us the right to live a civilized life equal to that of men.
Yeah, Rekha Agarwal, help me understand this. As far as the punishment goes in this case under the new BNS, would it change from the older one? Because, the earlier one had within 7 years, if you had a dowry-related death, there was a certain amount of punishment, certain number of years. Does that change under the new BNS, or does that still remain same?
Not at all. It's a murder. It's a clear case of murder, and the fact that it's been 9 years, since she got married, that doesn't make that doesn't take away the gravity of the offense. Nobody, it goes, and nobody can doubt the prosecution. It cannot fail in any manner in this particular case, simply because it has been 9 years. The law simply said earlier under the IPC that if it has been 7 years, after the marriage, then one takes the entire thing with a little more, with a bigger pinch of salt. But now there's been a continuous case of cruelty. Thank God for that. The Honorable Supreme Court in a category of judgments has laid down that cruelty is a continuous offense. The fact she's been suffering for 9 years only kind of vindicates the stand that yes, she did try to pull along. The fact that her sister, her sister is, the way she was speaking about the torture that she's been continuously suffering. Her father is going to stand testimony to the torture suffered by his daughter. So there'll be enough evidences, to help the prosecution, take this man to the gallows. I would say he deserves to go to the gallows. And coupled with the testimony of the little son that she has. Thank God she gave birth to a son. Had she given birth to a daughter, she would have been killed many more earlier years ago, you know.
Yeah, you know,
I mean, the
that's the
Bharti family,
unfortunate
you know,
part. If you don't give birth to a daughter, you're killed for dowry. That's the unfortunate part. And there are several other reasons that are given to kill women. But Dr. Singh, you know, as far as women safeguarding themselves is concerned, what more can we do? There is so much awareness. There is, you know, both sides, men and women have been told so. But in this case, there is just no fear of the law.
There is so much that we can do and the society can do. First, to empower the girl child. Beti Padhao, Beti Bachao. I think it is more by way of a slogan than the ground reality. The parents need to understand that we are getting the Devi Ma in the form of our daughter. Therefore, we need to empower her. The slightest hint of any humiliation or any demands should not be taken lightly, and there should be zero tolerance, not only to such demands, but also to dowry. Dowry is a punishable act, and therefore, to anybody asking for dowry, giving dowry should be named and shamed. Today, we have the strength of the social media and the IT tools. Anybody accepting or giving or demanding dowry should be named and shamed, and the financial trades of buying this gold, taking this example, 36 lakh rupees, the 10 tolas of gold, or the 20 tolas of gold, the Scorpio and the bullet. Now it will going to be the death knell of the boy's family, because all the financial trade will go to show that it was a obnoxious and an indecent demand for dowry. And therefore, under the Dowry Act also, the murder also happened. And therefore, all such cases, the girl child has to be protected. Somebody asked me, has anything changed in the last 50 years? I'm like, yes, things have gone from bad to worse. Dowry has not come down. Only it has increased and scaled higher dimensions.
Yes,
All right.
absolutely.
Absolutely. All right, we'll leave it there. You know, it's just heartbreaking, it's heart-wrenching, and these are words just, you know, that have been coming out. But the fact of the matter is that these cases are still happening, ladies and gentlemen. Just spare a thought for the women, spare a thought for the child who has been left behind and who has witnessed his mother getting burned, all for dowry, for money. Thank you very much to all of you, Dr. Singh, Dr. Ranjana Kumari, as well as Ms. Rekha Agarwal, for joining us on Times Now and sharing your thoughts.